Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is EST 1987 Entertainment, episode 17 of our podcast, and episode technically 3 of YouTube.
What's up, everybody? I'm Matt. I do the games. Generally start off with that, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. Not a whole lot of major news going on this week. Mostly just some big releases just released and coming up. But Evo was this past week. Not big into watching like esports, things like that. I did catch a few clips, and I understand why I can't watch it because I can't keep up. But big news that I got from that was interesting to me is they showed a lot of the releases of the kind of the Mortal Kombat roster that's coming up for Mortal Kombat coming out next month. It is coming out next month, so I don't want to, like, if you're one of those people who don't necessarily want to know until you buy the game and until it comes out, just know that, man, some of these characters you haven't seen for a long time in the Mortal Kombat franchise.
Yeah, I watched the trailer and it looks pretty badass. Like some of the people they're bringing back.
Yeah, there's some cool characters that, like I said, you haven't seen in a long time. That I'm excited to kind of maybe switch up some of the styles and things like that. They showed a few fatalities in there, and every time a Mortal Kombat game comes out, I feel like you kind of say this is about as far as they can take these fatalities. It's
pretty good.
They were good. They were good. Like, they were even more over the top than usual. So that's the big stuff I kind of got out of Evo. Street Fighter's in there now. I know that was a big deal for a lot of people. That was kind of the finale, I believe.
And it actually shows some of the story mode up to you actually like fighting too.
As far as Mortal Kombat
versus. So I mean, it looks pretty promising. Like it looks. I'm definitely gonna pick the new Mortal Kombat.
I'm hyped for Mortal. I was already hyped for Mortal Kombat. Just some of those trailers and the roster updates that they showed. I'm definitely even more hyped for Mortal Kombat than I already was. Next up, there's a Red Dead, the original Red Dead port coming to PS4 and Switch. Big news about that. A lot of people up in arms. It's going to be a $50 port. Now,
it's remastered at the same time too.
No,
right?
No,
that's not the remaster they're talking about.
It's not remastered. It is strictly a port to make it playable on PS4 and Switch.
I would wait for the remaster they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, if they end up doing that, I mean, I think everybody kind of assumed that this was going to be a remaster because this game's from 2013.
Yeah, it's pretty old.
I think everybody was assuming that there was going to be a remaster done, and I know even more people are up in arms because this game's already playable from backwards compatible on your Xbox Series X and S. So this game's been playable.
2010.
So 13
I was going to say
14 years ago.
2 was like 6 or 7 years old at least, so yeah.
So I think that's what people were expecting, is they wanted a full-on like rebuild of this game. And kind of thought that's what was coming, and turns out it's a port. Not a whole lot of, like, you are getting Undead Nightmare. I don't know if you remember Undead Nightmare from the original Red Dead. It was kind of the DLC content. It was great content and everything. But I mean, again, we just figured out 2010 is how long ago this game came out. They haven't rebuilt it at all. It's strictly a port. They're charging $50 for it. It's already been available on your Series X and S through the Xbox backwards compatibility program. Like, why in the hell are they charging $50 for this?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking here, and pretty much all the remastered stuff has disappeared. It like you said, it's just this new backwards compatibility, and that's a waste of money and time. Like,
no, it will be available.
Why do that when everybody's playing 2 right now? That's better graphics and better story right now. Like,
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to go back and I can go back and play it on my Series X.
Yeah.
But you got the Switch community and the people who only own a PS4 community. You're charging them $50 for a game that came out 14 years ago. So a lot of people are highly upset about that. Rockstar hasn't done a real good job with these. Like, they have the Grand Theft Auto collection. That came out not too long ago. Came out, didn't run properly. when their games come out, like their new games come out, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to blow it out of the water. It's going to be great, but when it comes to these kind of what seems like money grabs at this point, they're really kind of shooting themselves in the foot. But I don't think they're too worried about it at the end of the day, because everyone is going to pick up Grand Theft Auto 6. They're going to make $1 billion, $5 billion again.
So speaking of Grand Theft Auto, like I said before, I don't really play that game that much because I feel like I'm running around just wasting time. It's not as challenging. But my friend keeps asking me to play, so I downloaded it again. Tried for an hour to get into a game together. Could not. Come to find out, Xbox Series X and Xbox One are not compatible in that game. You cannot join games together, which is absolutely ridiculous and makes me even hate that game more, honestly.
Well, I assume that would mean crossplay is not available from PS4 to Xbox,
but it's still Xbox, like Xbox and Xbox. So why can't we play together? Like, just because I have a newer console, it's ridiculous.
Well,
and there's not a separate version for a lot of games. Have a version of Xbox One downloadability and Xbox Series X downloadability, and this one does not have that.
I'm assuming that's probably on Rockstar's side. It's probably on there. It's a probably issue with their servers or with the just way the game runs separately on each one of those. I'm assuming that's a Rockstar issue. I would imagine it works the same way as far as crossplay goes from the PlayStation to Xbox as well. I don't know. As good as their games are, and as much money as people spend in their games, you think they would have these issues ironed out. And,
like, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. So if y'all got some ideas on why we can't play together for some reason, Xbox One versus Xbox Series X, let us know. Like, make a comment. Like I said, I tried for over an hour, and I was just trying to play with a friend. But let us know if there's a reason why, if we need to change some settings or something.
It's got to be something to do with the game or the server or something like that. I can't, off the top of my head, I wouldn't know exactly, but if I took a look, I'm sure I could figure it out. Next up, I might have brought this up last podcast, but it's big enough that it's worth bringing up again. Square Enix and Xbox looks like they're finally partnering up. Everyone knows Square Enix has been a big major partner with PlayStation for a long time. You didn't get Final Fantasy 16 onto the Xbox again. The new Final Fantasy hasn't come, but they partnered up. Final Fantasy 14, I believe it is, the MMO Final Fantasy is finally coming about 10 years later over the Xbox. Not a big into MMOs in general, but I did pick up Final Fantasy for 16 for PlayStation. Loved it. So hopefully this means, especially with the financials coming out of Square Enix recently in the past couple of days, where revenue has dropped, or revenue's up, but profitability is down like 80% or something like that. Hopefully this means for everyone with an Xbox, you might be getting these new Square Enix games. They're not going to solely be on the PlayStation consoles anymore. So that's a huge deal. Final Fantasy, the MMO 14, that's a huge deal for the community there. Again, it's been out for a while, so gives it potential to grow again. Keep that player base, which is huge, a big deal for MMOs. So hopefully that helps. And what a big deal for Phil Spencer and the Xbox team to get in with Square Enix. And it looks like it came at a good time for Square Enix as well, again, with the financials that popped up. So I'm excited because I love Final Fantasy 16 so far. It'd be great for the Xbox community to be able to get a kind of taste of that, the great games that do come from Square Enix. Now, they do publish a lot of games as well.
So I was going to say, I'm not really into Final Fantasy, but I know they do some other stuff. Let's see. They definitely have an improvement on the Avengers game they had. But they do the Kingdom Hearts. There's Guardians of the Galaxy, but mostly Final Fantasy.
They're big. They have a few giant properties, and then they just publish a lot of other stuff. So that might be an issue with their financials as well. Maybe cut out some of the lesser known stuff. You know what I mean?
Like Avengers.
Well, I mean that was a
they've been kind of banking on the Final Fantasy, which is. There's definitely a cult following for that. That's a big game. That's one of the biggest games of all time. Final Fantasy.
One of the biggest series of all time, for sure.
But maybe branch out and do something a little different as well. Like they're putting all their eggs in one basket is basically what it is.
Well, the bad thing is that game sold 3 million copies, 3 million or more copies in the first week, and that is barely meeting expectations for Square Enix.
Yeah.
So something's wrong with the way that they're setting these games. If a game sells 3 million copies and that's not enough for you in the first week, then your expectations are too high. You're putting too much pressure and too much investment on just this one title to carry the rest of your gaming division. So honestly, that seems like a money management issue. Seems like a studio management issue as far as Square Enix as a whole. So they need to figure that out. And if you need your game to sell, 10 million copies in the first week, putting it on one platform and one platform only is not going to do it. So, good move on the new Square Enix CEO. Good move on Phil Spencer and the team getting this partnership going. Hopefully, again, that does mean next Final Fantasy is multi-platform, coming to as many platforms as possible. So that's just exciting news, especially for the Xbox community. Last up, I have gaming-wise, Baldur's Gate 3 just released. I've never played a Baldur's Gate. I'm not a D&D player. But I did, I tried to send out a tweet while I was in the gym, but it wouldn't go through. But I wish I had time to, after hearing everybody talk about this game, I wish I had time to pick this up because it's
too long, though.
It's received nothing but high praise.
That's good.
Well, that's the thing is like, if I pick it up, I'm gonna wanna keep playing if it's as good as everyone says.
You gotta be a professional gamer.
Yeah, but that's one of them games like Starfield coming up. Like I know I'm not gonna pick that up and beat it in a week, but that might be a game that I play here and there, and then a year down the road, it's like, oh, I've finally gotten to the end game after doing millions of side quests and things like that. But just a heads up, if you are a D&D fan or you are just like a true hardcore RPG fan, this seems to be the one for you. I've heard a lot of talk about it's up there for people's game of the year. That's high praise with the way this year's been going, especially with Zelda coming out, and everybody pretty much once they started playing Zelda was like, no game stands a chance. Zelda's game of the year, and you're starting to hear some backtracking on that. So, which is really what's got me wanting to play it. But again, like you said, like I don't have the time. But
the 300 hours or something like that.
Well, it's 120 something hours of cutscenes.
Yeah.
Of just 120 hours of cutscenes. Not to mention the gameplay up into that, but like I've seen clips and everything. Man, it looks funny. It looks fun. The only kind of negative I've heard, and this is there's been a lot of people who aren't normally into these types of games who have picked it up, and it might just be that case where that's how these games have been, and you've got a new subset of people jumping into these games, so they're not used to this type of combat. But the combat is what everybody's been kind of harping on as the one negative thing they can say. But they said even with not enjoying the combat really, they're loving the game, and just the role playing, living as that character type of aspect of this game is awesome. But that's news wise. That's all I got. Other than that, man, Remnant 2 just came out. We've got a huge month coming up, especially September. Like we already talked about Mortal Kombat. We got Starfield coming up. Too many games to list and too many games to play. I'm gonna do my best to play as many of them as I possibly can because it's a lot of my favorite types of games. I think even with Starfield being like probably the biggest one that's coming out, I think Mortal Kombat is the one I'm looking forward to the most. But between Starfield, Forza, Mortal Kombat, I want to go back and pick up Remnant 2. I've got enough to play. And all of these games look amazing. So.
I started playing games with people though, and it's like people have ADD with games, and it's just like we never go back to them. And like I tried to pick up, that wasn't just directed towards you, other people too. Like I was playing Forza with some other friends, and then we just all fell out of it. Like I'd play it again, but I tried to download Madden. I'm not really into sports games, but I tried to download Madden again to play with somebody, and honestly, I couldn't even get past the training. Like, I suck that bad at sports games.
Sports games is something, if you didn't really play as a kid or...
that's the thing I did.
It's hard to jump back in.
NBA Jam and Madden 95 and all that kind of stuff. But
they're not easy games. Those sports sim games are, especially if you're playing somebody who knows what they're doing. Like it's a different caliber of people who are good at those games.
Yeah, but NBA Jam, man, getting a couple slam dunks in a row, net catching on fire, man, that was like my peak sports game.
I'm trying to think right now, like, because NFL Blitz went right along with that. Like,
I played that, but pretty much after that, like, I stopped playing them. But we do have a Star Wars game coming out next year as well. It's an RPG, Star Wars Outlaws. The developers are the same as Assassin's Creed, but they said they promise it won't be a long drawn out game. Like, it'll actually be finishable. So honestly, I'm looking forward to that.
It's Ubisoft, so I'm hoping we get a little bit of the formula. A little bit of the formula from Assassin's Creed with a Star Wars narrative, but definitely adding in like the technology. I mean, you're going to get the technology and everything from the Star Wars universe, so you're going to have to switch the formula up a little bit or quite a bit to match that world. But the trailer that we saw, that was at one of the showcases, the trailer that we saw for that game, I'm definitely hyped for that one. You gotta, Jesus, that. You want to get into next year's game, we're going to have a long episode.
No, I don't. Like, it's just one that I recently read about, so I brought it up. I don't usually have a lot of gaming news because that's Matt, but just wanted to bring up something also in the gaming section. So we're going to try to keep the sections a little bit shorter, keep attention span and things like that. So we'll be right back.
Biggest thing real quick. Go ahead and put in your time off, PTO, for next month. Just take the month off. Huge month. Too much shit to play. If you're already in Baldur's Gate, go ahead and take this month and next month off. A lot of fun shit to play. We got movies and television coming up next, so we'll be right back.
Hey, welcome back. We're here with the TV and movie news. I'm Casey again. This is Matt. Same episode, but in case you're dropping in a little later, try to keep it short and sweet this time. A little less titles. Keep it quality over quantity, unlike Netflix. But sad news one more time, unfortunately. The star who played Fezco in the Euphoria show that we talked about previously, Angus Cloud, was 25, died of suicide, unfortunately.
Was it suicide? I hadn't heard.
Yeah, he already had some mental health problems, and his dad died not too long ago, and it just kind of took a toll on him. He died, unfortunately. He was a rising star. The way this guy got this role was literally he was walking down the street, and a casting director found him on the street. And this was his first role, Euphoria. And he started starring in some other things right after this, so he was kind of an up-and-coming rising star.
Well, having not even watched Euphoria, I'd seen a lot of media on it. Well, mostly because of how well he did in Euphoria, from what I heard.
Yeah.
But just everybody praising how great of an actor he was in the show. So,
yeah.
I mean,
mental health is a real problem.
Yeah.
If you need help, go get it before it's too late. So, again, unfortunately, he died. But that's two stars in 2 weeks in a row that have died. But moving on, the reminders. Jules with Ben Kensington. Alien lands in his backyard. Town Hall won't believe him. Comes out on August 11th.
I haven't seen anything on this.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple episodes ago.
Okay, I've heard about it. Apparently, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, no, that's normal. But anyway, Equalizer 3, Denzel Washington. It is the finale of the trilogy. September 1st. Blue Beetle, August 18th. DC's one of the last outings for Zack Snyderverse, basically. Even though it's its own standalone movie. August 18th, next Friday. So, quick reminders there. Anyway, so things you may have missed. I've got a couple titles here. Superman and Lois. I wait until it comes out on HBO Max because I don't have cable and I don't like watching commercials on CW, and I just want to binge watch it. So once it finishes airing on CW, they air it on HBO Max without the commercials. Superman and Lois, man, this is my favorite, honestly, grounded show from the DC universe on CW. It's a lot different than Flash and Green Arrow and all that stuff. It's Superman and Lois with their two teenagers in high school. It's a little more grounded, relatable show to me because they've got, people with cancer. They've got their high school girlfriends. It's actually like a little more realistic, and it's not as cheesy as those other shows were. And I love this show.
You talked to me a lot about this. I think we watched an episode or two actually at your house.
Yeah.
Me and Stephanie came over and watched it. I agree with everything that you said. It was hard for me to go back and watch it because the actress who plays Lois is hard for me to watch.
She grows on you, man. Because I get it. Like in the beginning, but like I said, it's a family. Like it's not. This is not a normal Superman story that you've seen live action before.
Yeah.
And they have their everyday problems, like family problems, things like that. But one of the sons actually inherits his powers as well, and he's kind of developing them, things like that. So all the other CW shows were canceled. This one got renewed again.
Flash is over. All those are done.
All those got canceled. Green Arrow kind of ran out before even James Gunn took over. It was like 8 seasons or something like that anyway. So
you might have seen this, but just while we're on the topic of these CW shows, Grant Gustin, the kid who played Flash, just so happened to show up on James Gunn's Twitter or X timeline a couple days ago. I guess they friended each other or something like that, which could absolutely be nothing. Maybe they met and whatever, but just as he's starting to kind of cast his own James Gunn verse.
Yeah,
I love Grant Gustin as the Flash.
Everybody's been gunning for him to be the big screen Flash.
He's already proven he could do it.
Yeah.
He's proven it with the basically almost no budget CW show.
Yeah.
He's charming. He's been around for a decade now without any troublesome behaviors, which already saves you from the Ezra Miller situation.
Yeah.
So I like him as the Flash, man.
Yeah. He did good. It just the show itself though, it got so repetitive. Taking away powers, giving powers. Like every single person on that show ended up having powers at some point.
It ended up being a Monster of the Week show type situation. But that's no fault of
his
or the casting.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd be good or as
with
big screen Flash or no?
Yeah, I think he would be. If he had a higher budget, like graphics and stuff like that in his movies, and better writing, yes, I think he could do it.
Do you think?
But I still love Ezra Miller as the Flash because I just watched it again, honestly. Because you like I said, you can rent it. It's going to come out on HBO Max soon.
I was about to say, is it out for free? I'll watch it when it's free again. I'll pay once.
So, but no, I definitely think he could do a good job because he was like lighthearted and serious at the same time. Like, I don't know, he did a good job. I just think the writing was not that great on that show. Honestly.
I agree. I think it started really well, and then
the first 3 seasons were amazing.
Yeah.
But after that, okay, every villain can't be a speedster. Get out of here. But anyway, Superman and Lois, like I said, I feel like it's one of my favorites of the DC shows on CW. You can watch the first 3 seasons on HBO Max. Some of the actors and characters that you end up loving on the show did get axed in the 4th season. So the only ones returning in the 4th season are going to be Superman, Lois, and their 2 kids.
So season 3's done now, and
you can watch all 3 seasons.
And when season 4 coming out?
Next year sometime. It just got renewed.
It'll be next year on the CW.
It was kind of on the axing block as well because everything else was up in the air with the takeover, but they did just renew it. So,
Okay. So, but how long after it's done on the CW does it show up on HBO Max?
Within a couple weeks of the finale.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
So maybe you think this will be the last season? So if I wait till this season's over, I can just binge watch all 4 seasons and be done?
I can't answer that, but maybe. I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying,
The
if
fact
it was on the chop, I don't know.
CW has to pick something else up, so maybe this will be one that they keep going. But CW, with all their main shows being gone, like, they've got to get something else.
Well, I was more wondering, like, I didn't know if maybe the storyline was kind of coming to a natural ending or not.
Should I do any spoiler?
No, because I will watch it. I will, because
the finale of the last season. I'm like, yeah, like I can't wait for the next season.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna wait till this season's over. I will watch it and then so we have a year and we'll be able to talk about it.
so if you just need something that's not so dark to watch and decent at the same time. Because most shows are so dark right now, it's hard for me to watch serious shows right now. It just, especially if I'm tired, like laying in bed watching it, I just fall asleep. Like, so if you just need something that's good to watch and not so mentally draining, go watch Superman and Lois on HBO. Anyway, so another show, Paramount talked about Yellowstone, 1883, 1923, Mayor of Kingstown, Tulsa King. The same writer has another show out on Paramount now. I don't know how he's keeping up with all this stuff. Taylor Sheridan, and he's got the Sixes Ranch coming out. Taylor Sheridan has another show out called Special Ops Lioness. It has Zoe Saldana in it, Nicole Kidman, and Morgan Freeman.
Jesus, this is a show?
Yeah. So Special Ops, kind of military, espionage type show. I'm gonna wait. My wife's already watching it, but I'm gonna wait until it's done so I can binge it.
What is this on? Is this on
Paramount? Yeah,
Paramount
but
again?
only like 3 episodes are out right now, and I'm just not very good at keeping up week to week shows anymore. Like, I forget that they're out. I'll miss a week. Just I want a show to be done and binge it and get it out of the way. Sorry.
Every once in a while, there's some shows. Invasion, I think, was week to week. That was one I was interested.
Yeah, and I can't wait for the
yeah,
season 2
that
coming out this month.
I was interested enough to watch that one. I can do 1 or 2 week to week shows at a time.
Yeah.
Other than that,
I forget about which one I'm watching.
It's with just. And I know a lot of it's just crap content, but a lot of times you're at the end of the day you're just turning on something just to fall asleep to. You know what I mean? If you're not thinking about, oh shit, what show do I need to watch this tonight or what day it comes on? It's so funny how quick we've fallen out of the week to week.
Yeah, I used to watch nothing but week to week shows.
That's all there used to be.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how, because just like you said with commercials, I have Hulu, but I don't have the no ad Hulu. I need to just get rid of it because I refuse to watch commercials. I won't do it.
Yeah.
I don't do commercials anymore, and very rarely do I do week to week. The show better be damn good. If I'm doing week to week.
It's not just about the commercials themselves. Like we had one that had commercials, and you just can't stay focused when the commercials come on. It's not like. It's kind of like a mood. Like you get in this mood and then a commercial comes on and your mood changes. When it comes back on, it just doesn't feel the same versus watching it continuous. So it's not just about, commercials are inconvenient. It's just, it changes the feeling of what I'm watching to me, honestly.
Yeah, well, we've gotten spoiled, first of all. Second of all, the commercial comes on, I hop on Twitter or Instagram, and my attention is completely drawn somewhere else, and then good luck. I'll realize 3/4 through the show, oh shit, what happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But anyway, so that's May Have Missed. Moving on to some new things. Real quick, some of these are new, some of them are not. Winter King is coming on MGM, so I may have to get the MGM app again. Just for this show, but I'll wait until it's done. Winter King. So it's the storytelling basically before King Arthur became king. Looks kind of Game of Thrones-ish. If you know anything about King Arthur, that's what it looks like. And I love those kind of things, like
Historical dramas.
Like Outlander, things like that. So MGM Winter King coming out here in a few months, but check it out. And it's the same app that what was that show that we just watched the second season of, where they were trapped in the town.
The Dome?
No, but very Stephen King-ish. We talked about it before.
Oh, From.
Yeah. So same app. If you want to check them both out at the same time when it comes out. Anyway,
From's very good.
Yeah, this is not really anything. Well, I guess it is kind of new. So Gal Gadot, they announced that they completely disbanded all the previous DCU members. Patty Jenkins, who did the first two Wonder Woman movies, which the second one was actually absolute garbage. The first one was amazing. Zack Snyder helped write it. She didn't want his help in the second one, and it absolutely bombed, and it was garbage. Well, they announced the takeover, and she completely left the project. Well, Gal Gadot just announced with Peter Safran and James Gunn that they are working on another one now.
So she's still going to be Wonder Woman.
She's going to be Wonder Woman. It's a reboot, and they said some of the things will still stand that happened in the previous movies, but you can pretty much take this story as its own thing from now in the new Wonder Woman movie.
Basically,
I'm glad, man. She did amazing. The writing was just horrible in the second one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the good thing is it like wash away that second one.
Yeah.
Just stick with the first one was an origin movie. You know what I mean? It was an origin story. You got the origin story out of the way. He's got how many characters where you don't need an origin story to start this universe?
Yeah.
You don't need an origin story for Batman. Everyone knows his origin story right now. You really don't need an origin story for Superman, even though there haven't been quite as many Superman movies.
Yeah,
as
and the
Batman.
new Superman, it's not an origin story.
So, I mean, if you keep that origins, if you're keeping Gal Gadot, you can keep that same origin story. That, just like we just said, that first movie was phenomenal.
Every time I watch it again, it's still just as good as the first time I watched it.
I love that movie. I love that.
It's amazing. Like,
she killed it. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about her, honestly, going into that movie as Wonder Woman, but I think she blew it out of the water.
Yeah, she showed up in just Shazam 2, Batman vs Superman. Every time she's hit the screen, she's just lit it up.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's a movie star for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's awesome because I do not need to see another Wonder Woman origin story. I hope that James Gunn can stay away from starting from scratch with these heroes. You know what I mean? Like,
well, in the Superman movie, he said superheroes already exist. There's no building up to it. Basically, Superman's in his mid-20s, and other superheroes already exist, which is going to be the Authority. So I can't wait because, like you said, I don't need to see any more. Like, they've done so many origin stories, it just stop. Like,
as long as the story, get into the meat of it. As long as the story's good and you can follow it, like, it's not like it used to be where you have a small subset of people who know about superheroes. Like, at this point, it's been 20 years of these movies. Everyone's grown up with these characters at this point. The ones who are our age, you know, we're the nerds who paid attention to this stuff before the movies even came out anyway.
Yeah.
And then my kids and you know, kids younger and older.
Yeah, I mean,
grew up with this. So we just give us a good universe. DC's starting out behind. Don't rush it, please. But just make the stories good. Make the heroes as relatable as they can be through their flaws. You know, because that's what kind of makes them relatable to us. And then, you know, I think what kind of gets lost in these movies is as they get bigger and bigger and bigger is being able to relate to them a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's what I liked about Superman and Lois. Like, you can 100%, no matter what position you're in, relate to that show. Like, because it has normal everyday life stuff on top of him being Superman. And even if you weren't into the reading comics when you were a kid, like, we're the generation that grew up watching the cartoon versions of all this stuff, which they don't really do nowadays.
That's unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah, like, I collected them. I wasn't really into reading them, but watching, like, X-Men 97 and all that stuff, man, like, growing up watching that stuff and then seeing it turn into live action was just like a dream, but it's just expected now. So, anyway, can't wait for X-Men 97 to come back out on Disney, FYI.
X-Men 97 is on something. I watched some of it somewhere.
Yeah, but Disney is doing another a continuation from.
Oh, from that series, I think it's on. Maybe that's on.
It's not
Disney.
on yet. Is it on now?
Not the new one. The old, the one we watched as kids.
Yeah, so they're doing a continuation where the story left off on X-Men 97 for Disney as one of the Marvel shows.
Oh, I can't wait. That's what got me into reading comic books, and I pretty much, when I was reading comic books, it was strictly X-Men and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So, like, that's where I kind of got started with it. Did you have anything?
Yep. So Loki season 2 comes out October 6th. Can't wait because Loki and WandaVision were my favorite MCU shows on Disney. Honestly, like, there's some other good ones. I'm not getting into those, but Loki season 2, the trailer is out. Cannot wait to see this show. Love Loki, the anti-hero. Love him, hate him, depending on where you are in the story. Mm-hmm. He's just charming. Like, I'd follow him even if he was evil. I don't know. Like,
he's a cool character, man. Cool character, and like you were saying, like, I think as good as some of those other shows were, and there were some other good shows. Like Moon Knight was one of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
Going back and just thinking about those shows, like, Loki was the best. Like, the story was awesome.
It started off slow, not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like, the first couple episodes, I'm like, all right, where's this going? Even my wife, but I told her to go back and watch it before Doctor Strange. Yeah, Doctor Strange, I think. It's an amazing show. So
yeah.
October 6th.
Season 2 looks to be jumping straight into it, too. So
yeah.
I can't wait.
And I loved how the first season had different versions of him that looked different, like the crocodile, the guy that looked like Christopher Walken. I don't know his real name, but this one has multiple actual Tom Hiddlestons in it fighting together. If you see the trailer, so
obviously we're still messing around with the timeline and stuff in this new season. So
the last thing I have is the review for Secret Invasion. How do you feel about it?
Man, there was a lot of hate for that last episode.
That's what I was getting at. Like, it took me a little bit to get into the beginning because you had to pay attention to what was going on and who was who and whatnot. And I loved it altogether. That's my final review. I loved it altogether. I'll give it a 6.5, 7. I liked it. And I loved it when I watched the final episode. But thinking back on it, like, was it cheesy? How it ended and what was happening?
I think it was a little
without
bit,
spoilers.
I think it was a little bit cheesy, but I mean, like, I think also people are like, sometimes you expect too damn much. Like, just sit back and I thought the story was good. Like, some of the CGI was not great, but let's be real. If this show had been made 15 years ago, could you imagine the CGI and that shit?
Watch it.
Like, it would have been unwatchable. They wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, the fact that they're doing some of the things that they're doing in these shows and able to, I would say, pretty successfully pull it off. Like, I think, again, people have gotten spoiled and they want everything needs to be like first class, top tier. Like, that's as top tier as you're gonna get. I think it was a little bit cheesy.
It was a little bit cheesy, but I felt like it was like rushed. It was almost like Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern in a way. It was like this build up, and then the ultimate fight lasted about 5 minutes, and it was over. And the whole changing back and forth, like, I won't give any details on that, but you'll know when you see it. The whole changing back and forth, it was just like constant, like, there wasn't enough time of one thing
to enjoy
make it
what it was.
impactful.
Yeah. I can see that, but I mean, it's a TV show. Like,
Yeah.
If that was in the movie, you know what it would, like. They did what they could within the probably budget and time frame that they had to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
but it made me more excited at the same time about what can happen in Captain Marvel 2: The Marvels.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're getting some of these characters out of the way in the show. They're introducing you to some of these characters in the show the best way that they possibly can. Like, and that way, everything doesn't have to be an origin story of, well, where the hell did this character come from? Why is this storyline not lining up with where I am at? Like, there'll be little Easter eggs for those of us who watch the show in the movies. I'm assuming is how it's going to work. You know what I mean? So that's kind of I guess I'm just not. I'm not going to be as hard on it as a lot of people are, and I understand if it wasn't enjoyable for you, it wasn't enjoyable for you. But I just kind of sit back and just enjoy it for what it is.
No, it was a good show again, but just like we were saying, it was a good show, and it was probably top 5 of the Marvel shows so far. But just not as good as Loki and WandaVision.
Yeah.
So,
it's gonna be tough to beat Loki. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough to beat Loki. I do have.
I'm done.
I just have a quick mention. Me and my wife started watching The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. Now there is a Matthew McConaughey movie of the same name. This is actually a series. It's got 2 seasons out now. A courtroom murder mystery drama all tied into one. I don't like, each season has its own case that they follow throughout the case, and then there's a lot of behind the scenes drama and a lot of cool characters in this show. Give it a watch if you're looking for something. Give it a watch. We're halfway through the 2nd season already, and we started watching it a day or 2 ago. That's how much we really got into it real quick. It's really good. Acting's good. Character's great, like I said, and really looking forward to finishing up season 2. But Lincoln Lawyer, it's on Netflix. There's 2 seasons out now. Check it out. Other than that, I think we're gonna wrap it up for this week.
And there's a lot of, like I was just telling you, there's a lot of these shows coming out with these classic movies from the 90s. I'll have to look up some of them, but one that comes to mind is Fatal Attraction with Glenn Close from the 80s, the late 80s. There's a show of that as well out that's pretty good so far.
What's that on? Do you know?
Was it Apple, Paramount? I can't. I'll have to look them up, but there's so many apps I can't remember what I'm watching on what, unless I look it up and write it down. But Lincoln Lawyer was a good movie with Matthew McConaughey. He's still a good actor, but this is one of his like prime movies, like pretty up there. If you want to check out the movie or check out the show, I don't know that I'd watch both of them at the same time, because then you'll start comparing them.
Yeah. I'll say this: if I was to compare them, I, like you, really enjoyed the Lincoln Lawyer, the movie. I like the series better.
Okay.
Like, it took me an episode, maybe 2 or 3 episodes to kind of start feeling that way. But as I got deeper and deeper into it, I was like, yeah, I'm feeling the show a bit more than Neve Campbell's in it, which you don't see a whole lot of her anymore. Cool that she's back. One of the original Scream cast from back in the day, Party of 5. Neve Campbell, yeah. So yeah, check it out. It might be something you're interested in. If you're a murder mystery fanatic, you got that. I like the courtroom drama, the lawyer court case and all that kind of stuff is what appeals to me the most. My wife kind of is the murder mystery fan, so it kind of works out for both of us. We each get something that it's kind of one of our favorites. But yeah, check it out.
Yep. So anyway, Neve Campbell's also in Twisted Metal right now on Peacock with.
Oh shit!
Mackie,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for this week. Like I said, we're trying to keep it a little shorter. We appreciate your time. Come back and see us. Drop us some comments. Any kind of pointers on what we're doing or something you want to hear about. Just drop some comments. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it.